I did some shaping of 2 regular loaves earlier, and I have one that I made before we went to a movie that was a lot longer than I actually thought it was going to be, but it's just about done proofing. You can kind of see how it's jiggly, and it's got this like pillowy texture or consistency, and I can pull it away from the bowl. Super easy. I do the aliquot method, which again, after I incorporate my salt, after the first hour, I go ahead and take the temperature of my dough, and based on the temperature, it determines how much of this goes in my container. Once my dough reaches the lid of the container, I know that my proofing process is done. So this is not for an order. I actually had done a Italian cheese loaf the other night, just kind of a fun one to try. And myself and my kids feel like that's the best one that I've made so far with inclusions. So I thought I'd show you really quick how I add my inclusions to my loaves. And this is just a single batch of dough. I'm gonna cut it down into 2. I'm just helping this along because I'm tired and I'm impatient, and I really thought that this was going to be overproof by the time we got home. I didn't know how long Wicked was, to be quite honest. Okay. It's a little bit warm on the side. I did heat up my tea kettle to kind of, well, I make hot tea at night, but I did kind of want to rush along the process and heat it up a bit because it wasn't quite done when we got home. And again, I'm not going to weigh or measure these in any way, shape, or form just because these aren't for orders. I did just start selling my sourdough this week under Cottage Law, so that has been super, super fun. And I think that it'll be cool to kind of document that journey, just starting out my first week, and see, you know, where I go from here. It'll be cool to have kind of a documentation of that whole process. So this, again, I just followed my normal dough recipe, which I do 350 grams of water, 100 to 150 grams of starter, and then 500 grams of bread flour, and 10 grams of salt. Usually I double that recipe, but again, as I mentioned in my prior video, I delay adding my salt for the first hour. It slows down the fermentation process, so I just get my dough ready, and then I mix up my water, flour, and starter, and then I add my salt after an hour. I'll do my first stretch and folds while I add that salt or incorporate it, and then again, that's when I take out my dough sample to do the aliquot method to determine or to give me a gauge on how proof my bread is. So I'm just slathering this stuff with garlic. Again, these are for my family. They're not for an order or anything, so I'm not too concerned about it. I have had the most fun. So the inclusion loaves I've done so far are this one, which this is just Trader Joe's Wisconsin sharp cheddar cheese, minced garlic, and then I'm going to add, I probably should have done that before I started adding the cheese. I'm going to add Italian seasoning. I just want to make sure that you can see what I have going on over here. I don't really have a great kitchen set up to record videos, but I don't know. I learned a lot about sourdough because I've only been making it for maybe a month, maybe less. I've been baking my entire life, but sourdough, I'm brand new to this journey, but I just, like millions of other American women and men, got sucked into it, and I'm quite addicted. So I figured it makes me really happy to share my bread with people and know that they're enjoying it with their family and stuff. So it's kind of cool to be able to have the opportunity to provide that for somebody else. And I'm also, this is just regular Italian seasoning, and this one is a 21 season salute, Trader Joe's. I don't know what is all in here. I'm sure nobody really cares. Okay, so I have my, lamination done, and then I'm going to flip over and kind of try to pinch these sides here so that I'm not losing any of my inclusions. I went a little crazy there. I guess you can't have too much, right? That is the one thing with inclusions. I feel like you have to add a lot for the flavor to actually like really be there. And I try to do them in each of my folds when I'm shaping my dough, just to ensure that it's kind of evenly distributed throughout. So I'm also going to kind of pinch over here on the bottoms to try to kind of keep everything inside. And then I probably should just put this on this side instead of the wide open. Do that. Some more garlic. And you know what? No, maybe I'll be okay. We'll use this. I might have to steal some of the cheddar from over here and then pause and cut some more. I didn't know how much I'd put in here. It's always kind of tricky to do these inclusion loaves, but especially ones with wet ingredients like this garlic. I can feel it on my left hand side over here. I can feel it wanting to seep out everywhere. And I do not do a pre-shape when I'm doing inclusions. I know that some people do add their inclusions during their stretch and folds, which I'm not opposed to that. However, when I'm making a double batch, I'm not usually doing 2 inclusion loaves. You know, usually it's like 1 plain and then 1 inclusion. So I can't really do that. Hold please. Anyway, this is getting way too long, but you can see it's very open here. And this is the bottom of my loaf. So when I go to bake this, either tomorrow or Friday, you know, I'll put my parchment paper or my sling on it and flip it upside down. Hopefully this will kind of dry out as it normally does. It kind of gets the shell after you put it in the fridge for cold proofing, and maybe it won't be so tragic. But again, this is just for my family, so I'm not really overly concerned about it. So I will go ahead and cut up some more cheese, finish this other loaf, and put these in the fridge. I have my bannetons are all used, so I have to improvise with some colanders and my little tea towels. So I don't know, hopefully that helps somebody. Okay, I kind of ended that in a weird way. So this was my second one that I shaped. You can see again more holes poking through with the garlic. It's just pretty wet. I guess this just is probably a learning process for me, that maybe I do like a roasted garlic or try to drain it, maybe with like drain with paper towels or something to get the moisture out so that it works better. But we'll see how these bake up. I will bring you along for that journey when I decide to bake them. But like I said, the one I made today was phenomenal. So if you have any questions, let me know. Like I said, I'm new to this, but I've been doing it obsessively every single day, and I have learned so much from TikTok. So I would love to be a resource for somebody else. So, all right.